Welcome to the Blind Abilities TVI Toolbox. In this first episode, we'll be hearing from professionals from the State Services for the Blind of Minnesota. They'll be talking about what they provide and the collaboration that they have with teachers for the visually impaired. Our news update on the horizon, bringing you news that you can use. The Tools for Success Spotlight is on SeeingAI, a Microsoft app that's free from the App Store. And our transition success story is Wesley Sissen, attending his first year in college at the University of Minnesota Duluth. We hope you enjoy this introductory TVI Toolbox episode. And for more podcasts with a blindness perspective, check us out on the web at www.blindabilities.com. Download our free app from the App Store. That's 2 words, Blind Abilities. We hope you enjoy.
The special education teacher and I, we worked on technology. We looked at different job options and job opportunities and career opportunities.
Used state services for the blind all the way through college.
Welcome to TVI Toolbox.
Part of the blind skills that I had to learn, which helped me with my job, is I have to be really on top of things.
Success stories of students on their journey through the transition process from high school to college to the workplace. With agency professionals, teachers of the visually impaired, parents of students, and the students themselves. What's in your toolbox? What's in your toolbox? What's in your toolbox? TVI Toolbox is a tool for teachers, for agencies, for clients to enhance the opportunities and the understanding of transition services. Professionals talking about the services that they provide. Teachers for the visually impaired talking about topics of transitioning from high school to college to the workplace. Students talking about their journeys, their successes, and some of the barricades and brick walls that were in their way, and solutions, tips, and tricks on how they got through it.
Whether they go to college or directly into work, we're all about helping them to get the skills to be successful while they're still in high school.
That's Sheila Koenig. She's a transition coordinator at State Services for the Blind of Minnesota. Not only is there transitioning from high school to college to the workplace, there's also transitioning from public schools to the state agencies. And that's where TVIs and counselors come together to enhance the opportunities for success.
Definitely the connection that we have with teachers of blind and visually impaired students is critical. These teachers are with students all the time, and they are such a critical tool in how the students access all of their academic information and the other programs like orientation and mobility, assistive technology, self-advocacy. These teachers are really a vehicle for the students to get all of this information.
Employment Team Program Specialist Daisha Van Alstein.
What is your job goal? What do you want to do? What are the various avenues to get there? We'll work on trying to figure out what's the most appropriate point from point A to point B for you.
Transition Counselor Ashlyn Cahill.
At State Services for the Blind, we have the IPE, which is the Individualized Plan for Employment, and that outlines all the services we agree to provide the student in order for them to reach their employment goal.
It is a collaborative effort of the teachers of the visually impaired, the state agencies, the parents of the students, along with the students themselves, in an effort to enhance the opportunities towards success. And creating and making these partnerships cannot start too soon.
And it used to be that we would start working with students when they're adults. And now, because of the new laws and regulations, we can start working at age 14 or 9th grade, whichever comes first. Teachers are really excited about this new way to partner, and the information is really flowing both ways. We find out, for example, how we might be able to supplement with something like O&M or assistive technology, for example. And in turn, a teacher might write as an IEP goal for a student to connect with someone at State Services for the Blind in order to find out more about us. So it truly is a partnership.
Now here's Jessica Hodges with On the Horizon, and this is where we share useful information, articles, websites, and upcoming events submitted by our listeners and our staff.
This month, On the Horizon, we have several lovely tidbits of information to give you. First, from Sheila Koenig, Transition Coordinator at State Services for the Blind, located in St. Paul, Minnesota. She stresses how important reading is to students, in particular transition age students. To help with this, she recommends people check out the website called Paths to Literacy. This website is a collection of blog posts aiming to help readers from every walk of life, including those who are deafblind, speak English as a second language, or are newly blinded. It can also be helpful for those who have been blind since birth but struggle to get into reading. If you'd like to know more about this website, go to www.pathstoliteracy.org/topic. Happy reading. I myself am a reader, and it's a very, very important thing to have in your life. The next topic does not have anything to do with reading, but hopefully it will help with reading later on in life. In the charming town of Faribault, Minnesota, the Minnesota State Academy for the Blind is holding a Parent-Child Institute on March 10th, 2018. This workshop and networking event is aiming towards Minnesotan parents who have children under 6 who are blind or visually impaired. It's open to children with multiple disabilities as well, and will cover various things like orientation mobility, IEP processes, sensory curriculum options, and more. If you'd like to know more or register, you can go to the Minnesota State Academy for the Blind website, msab.msa.state.mn.us. Turn your child into a great reader. If your state doesn't have one of these, consider Facebook. There are a lot of different groups for a lot of different things, including blindness, for parents and students and young children alike. You're likely to find the resources that you need online if your state doesn't have a place that you can gather them. If you'd like to submit an event to On the Horizon, feel free to email jessica.hodges, HODGES, @state.mn.us, and we'll try and get you in next month. Thank you, and I hope that you have a lovely day wherever you are.
Thank you, Jessica. And now, tools for success. The app today is SeeingAI. That's SEEING space AI. Stands for Artificial Intelligence, and that's from Microsoft. It's a free app on the iOS platform, and you can get OCR, scene detection, product identification, where you take a picture of the UPC code and it'll identify the product. The person channel will allow you to identify people or let you know where the faces are located through the camera lens for centering faces while taking a picture. It'll also identify people that you have identified, and that's in the menus. And now, with 4 new channels added, it's a Swiss Army knife of apps for the blind. They have currency detection, light detection, color detection, and handwriting detection. Now, some of these are more novelty than they are practical for the workplace or for school, but the short text is a quick way to riffle through some mail to identify. You don't have to do anything, just point and it starts talking when it identifies text. There's also a document channel where you can read documents, and it tells you left, right, up, down,
right edge not visible,
for help in shooting the picture of the text that you want to get the OCR from. It even has speech if you don't use voiceover. So it's a very versatile app, and now with the new added features, light detection, it'll get higher pitched or lower pitched depending on the brightness of the light. The brighter, the higher the pitch. So it's an easy way to identify if the lights are on. As for color detection,
green, black, gray.
It does a pretty good job, just like most detection devices do.
White, black, gray and brown, red.
Sometimes they're good, sometimes it's not so good, depending on the lighting in the room. And the handwriting, well, the jury's still out on the handwriting, but it's a great start. Microsoft is really doing a great job of making this available for everybody, especially with the currency identification. It's available in multiple currencies, and it works pretty good. So check it out, SeeingAI, a free download from the App Store. And for today's success story, we're going to talk to Wesley Sissen. He's a first-year student at the University of Minnesota Duluth, way up by Lake Superior, and he's active in extracurricular activities. So without further ado, meet Wesley Sissen. Welcome to Blind Abilities. I'm Jeff Thompson. We're talking to Wesley Sissen. He's a first-year student at the University of Minnesota Duluth. He graduated from high school, transitioned to college, and someday would like to finish his college in a little bit warmer part of the country. Glad to have him here. Please welcome Wesley Sissen. Wesley, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing great, and thanks for taking the time. I know you're busy up there in school and coming on and speaking to our listeners on Blind Abilities.
Of course, I appreciate it.
So Wesley, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, my name is Wesley Sissen. I am a freshman at the University of Minnesota Duluth. My current majors are world history, foreign policy, and environmental law. I did PSEO classes all of my senior year of high school, so I took college classes while still in high school. I decided to come back to UMD for the rest of my college career.
Well, congratulations on going through the transition and getting to college, and it seems like you're well on your way. Are you enjoying it?
I'm finding it extremely fun. It's challenging, and the challenge is always something I enjoy.
So when you were in high school, how did you get to know State Services for the Blind?
We got to know them when I was, I believe, 14. They reach out to high schools with students who could require some of their assistance later in life. They came in and we had a meeting where we discussed what they had to offer and what I could gain by accessing state services programs.
And there you are today, up there at the University of Minnesota Duluth.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't head for warmer weather or anything?
I've been thinking about it for maybe grad school, of heading down to the Southwest. I love Colorado, specifically Colorado or New Mexico. I'm going to probably finish these 4 years and then decide what I want to go from there.
So I'm assuming that you're in your own dorm, apartment, some type of living situation?
Yeah, I am currently on campus in the dorms.
You mentioned to me when we were talking before this podcast that you got a little bit of mobility instruction.
During my time acclimating myself to the campus here, I accessed state services resources and had some orientation mobility here on campus, where I just kind of learned a lot of the layout here, where certain classes could be, and just kind of how you can find your own way on the campus.
How did you connect with your teachers? What process did you go through to let them know that you were visually impaired?
I connected with the Office of Disabilities here, and we basically emailed professors and just kind of said, well, I'm a visually impaired student, and there are certain resources that I require to be in the class, but it's nothing to be worried about. We just kind of reached out to professors by email and just told them what was up.
So can I ask, what types of alternative techniques or devices do you use on a daily routine?
A PC with JAWS screen reader, sometimes NVDA as another screen reader. I am a Braille user, so I like to kind of, depending on the assignment, depending on whatever I'm doing, I like to switch back and forth and, yeah, just keep my options diverse.
And that's working well for you, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So, Wesley, do you have any hobbies that you partake in?
I'm a vocalist and musician. I've sang in many choirs. I've been in charge of a couple musical groups, couple rock groups here. I currently have one on campus that involves a few musicians, and I'm an outdoorsy environmentalist kind of person, and I am currently one of the environmental task force leaders for one of the nonprofits here at the university. It's called MPIRG, MPIRG, or Minnesota Public Interest Research Group, and we focus on a lot of social, economic, and environmental issues brought up by students.
Oh, that's interesting. That's a good location for it, too, up there in the Lake Superior area.
Yeah, it's a statewide organization. It's completely student-run, nonpartisan, nonprofit group, and we work on issues that students are interested in on campus in the Duluth community, and we have a presence statewide. So we get to talk to representatives and go down and talk with our elected officials on what matters pertain to students. And I'm glad to be a part of that.
No, that's good. That sounds pretty proactive. Seems like you're involved in stuff. Did your visual impairment ever hinder your willingness to get involved in activities like that?
My visual impairment never really was an issue in terms of my willingness to get involved. You sometimes have to find alternative ways of working around a system, especially in cases where situations are majority sighted based. I've always been a proactive person, and I love to get out in the community
Oh, that's great. Obviously, you've been in high school, and with that proactiveness and willingness to get out, how was high school? You must have had some good training and good advocates around you.
In high school, it got a little interesting with school resources versus state resources. And I got myself into a couple binds here or there in terms of getting work that I need and stuff like that. But when State Services for the Blind stepped in, they opened up a whole new realm of possibilities that can be accessed by students and later on.
And what are some of those resources?
Depending on the person, you can have training in stuff relating to technology, your use of computers and phones. What's the best way that works for you? I am currently looking at the new Braille system that is coming out here, or that has come out, and just kind of learning how that new system works. You can have orientation mobility, learning your way around. If you're in a big city, how does one navigate and learn how to get the most out of your everyday experience? Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah. I remember back in the day, I used to have this impression without people telling me. I didn't know any blind or visually impaired people. I thought state services was like a safety net just in case. But the more and more as time's going on here, it's becoming a vehicle for people, like a resource. It gives you more optimism towards your future goals.
It is definitely a hand-up resource, not hand-out. It gives people the access to resources that they might not have realized existed or had access to before.
That's right. Good. You mentioned a phone. What type of device are you using?
I am currently using an iPhone 6.
Mm-hmm. You like that?
I find it is very easy for a user to get acclimated to and use.
The voice-over accessibility.
VoiceOver is very easy. Siri, although not necessarily the most helpful thing, is something that allows you to research.
So what are your goals after college?
My goals are to get involved in conservation work as legal representatives in doing environmental law. I'm interested in foreign policy and being able to go to other countries and work on issues between countries. I'm a historian at heart, and I love educating people about historical events and stuff. So teaching is always something in the back of my mind.
The Industrial Revolution is one of my favorites in America, right in that period of time.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting period. And I'm a World War II fanatic, but I love everything from early European history to colonialism, and I'm currently taking world history courses along with early Roman Empire stuff, which is really interesting.
Yeah, I love history. Were your parents effectively involved in advocating for you as a youngster?
Yeah, my parents both were extremely good at advocating and taught me to do the same. They would go to most meeting stuff with teachers to try to find the best way of working on stuff that would be beneficial for me, and it was a great example for me.
And you mentioned that they taught you to advocate for yourself.
Yeah.
And that's important.
It's extremely important, especially when one wants to be a productive member of society and take part in education, and it's the best way for someone to get out and find their best and be their best.
Wesley, what advice would you give to someone who is in high school and transitioning into college and looking towards the workplace?
I would say that there are resources available that can help you make the best choices for yourself. They're not too far away. State Services is a great starting point in finding what works best for you, and no one should be doing this alone.
Well, great. Is there anything else that you would like to tell the listeners on blind abilities?
Just keep being awesome.
There you go. Well, Wesley, thank you very much for coming on and sharing a little bit about yourself. Good luck with your future, your goals, and all that. And it seems like you're on a good path.
I appreciate it. I thank you for letting me come on.
Really enjoyed talking to Wesley, and it's success stories like Wesley's that reinforces the collaboration that we're building between teachers of the visually impaired, the agency, the parents, and the students to enhance the opportunities for success. We hope you enjoyed, and until next time, bye-bye.
When we share
what we see through each other's eyes, we can then begin to bridge the gap between
the limited expectations and the reality of blind abilities.
The realities of blind abilities.
For more podcasts with a blindness perspective, check us out on the web at www.blindabilities.com, on Twitter at blindabilities. Download our app from the App Store, blindabilities, that's 2 words, or send us an email at info@blindabilities.com. Thanks for listening.